Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a story that might hit close to home for many of you. It's about Sarah, a young woman who's about to learn some valuable lessons about friendship and self-worth. Through her experiences, we'll explore 5 behaviors of people who don't really care about you. Sarah glanced at her phone for the 10th time that hour, the screen stubbornly blank. No new messages. With a heavy sigh, she tossed it onto the couch beside her. It had been 3 days since she'd reached out to her supposed best friend, Megan, about her recent job loss. 3 days of deafening silence. This brings us to our first behavior. 1. They don't respond when you need them. Sarah's fingers hovered over the keyboard, contemplating whether to send another message. The draft sat there, a digital reminder of her vulnerability. Hey Megan, just checking in. Been having a really tough time with the job situation. Could use a friend right now. She stared at the words until they blurred, then deleted them character by character. Sarah knew it wouldn't make a difference. Megan had a habit of disappearing when things got tough, only to resurface when she needed something herself. When someone consistently fails to respond during your times of need, it's a clear sign that they don't prioritize your feelings or well-being. The next morning, Sarah dragged herself to the local cafe, Beans and Dreams. As she approached the counter, she spotted a familiar face, her former co-worker Tom. This leads us to behavior number 2. 2. They only talk about themselves. Sarah, what a surprise! Tom exclaimed, his eyes lighting up. Before Sarah could even respond, he launched into a monologue about his recent promotion. Can you believe it? I'm finally moving up in the company. Senior marketing strategist. Oh, the perks are incredible. Sarah nodded politely, waiting for a pause to interject about her own situation. But the pause never came. Tom rambled on, oblivious to her downcast expression or the fact that she hadn't said a word. And Janet in HR said they've never fast-tracked anyone like this before. Guess all those late nights paid off, huh? Tom beamed, finally pausing to take a breath. Sarah seized the moment. That's great, Tom. I'm really happy for you. Actually, I've been meaning to tell you. But Tom's phone chimed, cutting her off. He glanced at the screen, his eyes widening. Oh, shoot. I'm late for a meeting with the new team. Gotta run, Sarah. We'll catch up soon, yeah? Before she could respond, Tom was out the door, leaving Sarah standing there, her own news unshared. People who don't care about you often dominate conversations with their own stories and achievements, showing little interest in your life or feelings. Later that week, Sarah's phone finally buzzed with a message from Megan. Hey girl, I need a huge favour. Can you watch my dog this weekend? I've got a hot date. This brings us to our third behaviour. 3. They only reach out when they need something. Sarah's heart sank. No acknowledgement of her previous messages, no asking how she was doing. Just a request for a favour. She typed back a polite refusal, explaining that she wasn't in the best place right now. If someone only contacts you when they need a favour, it's a sign that they view the relationship in terms of what they can get from you, not what they can give. Megan's response was swift and cold. Wow, I thought we were friends. I guess I know where we stand now. It's just one weekend, Sarah, but whatever, I'll figure it out myself. This leads us to behaviour number 4. 4. They make you feel guilty for having needs. Sarah stared at the message, a mixture of hurt and anger welling up inside her. She had always been there for Megan, dropping everything at a moment's notice whenever she was needed. But now, when Sarah needed support, she was made to feel like the bad guy for saying no. True friends understand and respect your boundaries. If someone makes you feel bad for taking care of yourself, they're prioritizing their needs over your well-being. As she sat there, processing the interaction, Sarah had an epiphany. These weren't the behaviors of true friends or people who genuinely cared. It was time to surround herself with people who valued her, responded to her needs, and didn't make her feel guilty for having her own. With a deep breath, Sarah picked up her phone and began scrolling through her contacts. Her eyes landed on Jake's name, another friend from college she'd once considered a confidant. But lately, this brings us to our final behavior. 5. They make empty promises and don't follow through. Sarah remembered the last time they'd met up, a quick coffee between Jake's meetings. He'd been full of enthusiasm, talking about a group hiking trip he was planning. "You have to come, Sarah. It'll be just like old times. I'll text you the details this weekend, okay?" That had been 3 months ago. No text ever came. No hiking trip ever materialized. At first, Sarah would follow up, sending messages asking about those job contacts Jake had promised or that hiking trip. Jake would always have an excuse. He'd been busy, he'd forgotten, but he'd definitely get to it soon. After a while, Sarah just stopped asking. Actions speak louder than words, and consistently broken promises show a lack of genuine care or commitment. But not all was lost for Sarah. As she continued scrolling through her contacts, her eyes landed on her cousin Emma's name. Before she could talk herself out of it, Sarah hit the call button. "Sarah!" Emma's voice came through, warm and surprised. "It's so good to hear from you. How have you been?" The genuine interest in Emma's tone brought fresh tears to Sarah's eyes, but this time they were tears of relief. Sarah shared her story, and Emma listened attentively, offering support and understanding. "Well, you're not invisible to me, Sarah," Emma said firmly. "Why don't you come over for dinner this weekend? I'm making my famous lasagna on Saturday. You can meet my new roommate, and we can brainstorm some job search strategies if you'd like." After they hung up, Sarah added an entry to her calendar. Dinner at Emma's, 7 p.m. It was a small step, but it felt significant. She was no longer waiting for others to determine her worth or dictate her schedule. She was choosing to spend time with people who showed they valued her, and she was taking control of her own path forward. As she got ready for bed that night, Sarah caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. The woman looking back at her seemed different somehow, a little stronger, a little more determined. She wasn't invisible, not to herself and not to the people who truly mattered. The path ahead wouldn't be easy. She still had a job to find, and there would be hard conversations to have with people like Megan and Jake. But as she turned out the light, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. Sometimes, realizing who doesn't care about you is the first step to finding those who do. And in recognizing the behaviors of those who didn't truly value her, Sarah had taken her first step towards becoming visible again, not just to others, but to herself. Sarah's journey teaches us an important lesson. Recognizing these behaviors in others can be painful, but it's the first step towards building healthier relationships and valuing yourself. We deserve friends who respond when we need them, listen to us, reach out without wanting something, respect our boundaries and follow through on their promises. Have you experienced any of these behaviors? Share your stories in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on relationships and personal growth. Until next time, take care of yourself and surround yourself with people who truly care.